Prabhu ki jai. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Aya Prabhupada, Shila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande. Oh, glories to the assembly devotees. Grantaraj Srimad Chaitanya Charitamrita ki. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta
Jaya
Vrinda
Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna. Today we read from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 24, explanation of the Atmaram verse, text 101, and continues. I will read the verses up to the verse which is written on the board, which we then will read together. Text 101. Prashapte moksha vanchakaitava pradhan ei sloke sridhar swami karyachena vyaikyan. The prefix pra in the word prachita specially refers to those desiring liberation or oneness of the Supreme. Such a desire should be understood to result from the cheating propensity. The great commentator Sridhar Swami has explained this verse in that way. Text 102. Sakama bhakte agya jani dayalu bhagavan Svacharanadiya kare ichar pidan. When the merciful Lord Krishna understands a devotee's foolish desire for material propensity, he gratefully gives him the shelter of his lotus feet. In this way, the Lord covers his undesirable ambitions. Text 103. Satyam disati artitam artito narinam naivartado jat punar artita jattaha swayam vidate bhajatam anichattam icha pidanam nicha padapalavam. Whenever Krishna is requested to fill one's desire, he undoubtedly does so. But he does not award anything which, after being enjoyed, will cause someone to petition him again and again to fulfill further desires. When one has other desires but engages in the Lord's service, Krishna forcibly gives one shelter at his lotus feet where one will forget all other desires. Purport. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th Canto, chapter 19, text 26. Text 104. That's the text which is on the board, so we can read it together. Sadhu Sangha Krishna Kripa Bhaktira Swabhav
Sadhu Sangha Krishna Kripa Bhaktira
Etina sabachadaya kare Krishna bhav. Sadhu Sangha Krishna Kripa Bhaktira Swabhav. Etine Sabachadaya Kare Krishna Bhav. Sadhu Sangha Krishna Kripa Bhaktira Swabhav. Etine Sabachadaya Kare Krishna Bhav. Sadhu Sangha Krishna Kripa Bhakti Rasvabhav. Etine Sabachadai Kare Krishna Bhav. Sadhu Sangha Krishna Kripa Bhakti Rasvabhav. Etine Sabachadaya Kara Krishna Bhav.
Sadhu Sangha Krishna Kripa Bhakti Rasvabhav.
Sadhu Sangha Krishna Kripa Bhakti Rasvabhav.
Etine Sabachadaya Kare Krishna Bhav.
Etine Sabachadaya Kare Krishna Bhav. Mataji's.
Sadhu Sangha Krishna Kripa Bhakti Rasvabhav.
Sadhu Sangha Krishna Kripa Bhakti Rasvabhav. Etine Sabachadaya Krishna Krishna Bhav. Sadhu Sangha Krishna Kripa Bhakti Rasvabhav. Etine Sabarajaya Kare Krishna Bhav. Sadhu Sangha, the association of devotees. Krishna Kripa, the mercy of Lord Krishna. Bhaktira, of devotional service. Swabhav, nature. Etine, these three. Sabachadaya. Sabachadaya. Cause one to give up everything else. Kare, do. Krishna, unto Lord Krishna. Bhava, the loving affairs. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Association with a devotee, the mercy of Krishna, and the nature of devotional service help one to give up all undesirable association and gradually attain elevation to the platform of love of Godhead. Please repeat after me. Association with a devotee.
Association with the devotee.
The mercy of Krishna. And the nature of devotional service. Help one to give up all undesirable association and gradually attain elevation to the platform of love of Godhead. Purport. This verse refers to the association of pure devotees, the mercy of Krishna, and the rendering of devotional service. All these help one give up the association of non-devotees and the material opulence awarded by the external energy, Maya. A pure devotee is never attracted by material opulence, for he understands that wasting time to acquire material opulence is a misuse of the gift of human life. In Srimad Bhagavatam it is said, Srama eva hi kevalam. In the eyes of a devotee, politicians, social workers, philanthropists, philosophers, and humanitarians are simply wasting their time, for human society is not freed from the cycle of birth and death by their activity and propaganda. These so-called philanthropists, politicians, and philosophers have no knowledge because they do not know that there is life after death. Understanding that there is life after death is the beginning of spiritual knowledge. A person can understand himself and what he is simply understanding the first lesson of Bhagavad Gita. Dehinasmin yatha dehi komaram jovanam jara tata deham tara praptir dhiras tatra namuyati. As an embodied soul constantly passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. Bhagavad Gita 2:13. Not knowing the real science of life, one engages in temporary activities of this life and thus becomes further entangled in the cycle of birth and death. Thus, one always desires material opulence, which can be attained by karma, jnana, and yoga. However, when one is actually elevated to devotional platform, he gives up all these desires. This is called anya vilasita sunya. Then one becomes a pure devotee. Sadhu Sangha Krishna Kripa Bhakti Rasvabhav Etina Savachadaya Kare Krishna Bhav. Association with a devotee, the mercy of Krishna, and the nature of devotional service help one to give up all undesirable association and gradually attain elevation to the platform of love of Godhead. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrayatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Varijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Chagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutte Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we are in the chapter where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains that beautiful verse, the Atmarama verse, where it states that self-realized souls are even being freed from all material contamination and attachment, are still attracted to the transcendental narrations, qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that means that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu elaborates on the qualities of a pure devotee of the Lord, which is free from all kinds of material contamination, meaning he is free from karma, jnana, and yoga aspirations. Already Narottam Das Thakur has compared this desire, karma kanda, to achieve fruitive activities, the results of fruitive activities, or jnana kanda, the speculative way of acquiring knowledge and the desire to be liberated from any material existence. He has compared these two as being two pots of poison. So, the emphasis is given on pure devotional service. This is actually the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to delineate the meaning of pure devotional service. Anya vilasita sunyam jnana karmadhanavritam anakalina krishnam silanam bhakti uttamam. That is the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Guru Parampara following, and that is what the six Goswamis so beautifully have explained in their elaborate literatures, and that is what Srila Prabhupada has brought to the West, and that is actually the heart and soul of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Just one verse before we started to read today's section is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, right at the beginning. Dharma prachitakaitavatra paramo nirmatsaranam. That verse actually is stating pure devotional service. Bhagavad Gita ends with the instructions of Krishna, Sarva Dharma Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, to give up all kinds of dharmas, all kinds of duties, and just to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And Srimad Bhagavatam starts with Dharma Prachitakaitava, meaning explaining what Srimad Bhagavatam actually conveys to his attentive reader. It conveys Dharma Prachitakaitava, that activity which completely rejects all mixed activities, kaitava. The Vedic literatures as such actually deal generally with the four subject matter, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, meaning with pious activities. Through pious activities, dharma, artha, one achieves artha, wealth. Generally, that is considered, depending on the state of consciousness one has, But it starts with material wealth naturally. Through that wealth, one is actually able to kama, satisfy his desires. And finally, moksha, when one realizes that this is not the all in all, one strives for liberation. So these four principles are discussed in the different Vedic scriptures. But beyond that is the transcendental nature. These four categories are still to be considered mixed material. Whereas Srimad Bhagavatam, the Amalam Puran, gives the instructions and the knowledge about the topmost, the transcendental knowledge. There are 18 Puranas, and they have been divided into a section, 6 Puranas which deal or which are actually meant for people in the mode of ignorance. Then another 6 are meant to give advice for people in a mode of passion. And 6, the last 6, are meant to give advice or guidance for people in the mode of goodness. And out of these 6, Bhagavad Puran, Srimad Bhagavatam, is actually the topmost and is meant for the Paramahamsas, the ones who are situated in pure goodness. These contaminations in the material world are actually described as the desires for fruitive activities, karma, jnana, or yoga. Even yoga, the process of yoga, has been described as being materially motivated, because the ultimate goal of the yogic process, Astanga yogic process, is to achieve different siddhis. But these different siddhis are still pertaining or relating to the material sphere. So all these different processes which are described in the Vedic scriptures, they have to be compared in a previous verse, which we read some days before, as being Ajagala Sthana Nyaya. They have been compared to the nipples which we can see on the neck of a goat. What does it mean? Like, the comparison has been given as nipples. Generally, the nipples are there to provide milk. But these nipples which we can find at the neck of the goat, they're actually just look alike. But you won't get any nourishment, any milk from it. So in a similar way, these different processes have been described as these nipples on the neck of a goat, unless and until they're connected with devotional service. Devotional service is actually, or bhakti, is that ingredients which ultimately will elevate our consciousness up to the perfection of being completely pure, situated in Krishna consciousness. But unless and until these different processes are focused, as Prabhupada has explained earlier on, there actually won't be successful. There is another beautiful verse in Srimad Bhagavatam which also states that. It has been also mentioned previously. Akama sarvakama va mokshakama dardi tivrena bhakti yogena. Tivrena, with full attention, whoever is either desireless, like a devotee, full of desire, like a kami, or desiring liberation, whoever wants to be successful and has some kind of intelligence, he actually will, with full attention, enact his activities with devotional service, meaning that finally whatever he engages in, his activities will be focused on the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This also has been confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam right in the beginning. Swanustitasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. Whatever activities we are performing, finally the grade of success will be measured according to how much it is satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So now in this way, Jai Shishigor Nitai, Jai Jagannath Baladev, Jai Subhadamani Ki Jai. So in this verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually states the ingredients which are most favorable for us in order to achieve this state of consciousness where we will be engaging in a proper way with the proper motivation, and that is the association of devotees, meaning sadhu sangha, devotees meaning pure devotees. It has been explained that the association of devotees, of such pure devotees, is like fire. And the example has been given. If one puts an iron rod in a fire, in due course of time, the iron rod actually will take on the qualities of fire. In a similar way, we may be completely fallen in a conditioned state of material existence, but being exposed, being in contact, getting the association of a pure devotee of the Lord, we will actually take on these qualities of the pure devotee of the Lord, and in that way get purified and become also eligible to act on the transcendental platform, as the iron rod being kept in fire will also attain the same qualities as fire. Meaning that the iron rod, even being iron, it actually acts as fire. These qualities of devotional service they have different characteristics. Our impediments, or this which actually holds us back, are our affiliation to the material existence, material consciousness. It has been explained in the Atmaram verse as well as also in the introductory verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, that these narrations of the Supreme Personality and its qualities are attractive to liberated souls because they're nirmatsaranam, they're not envious. Our root cause of our existence in the material sphere is our enviousness. This enviousness leads to different disqualifications, different contaminations, which have been described 6 in the numbers. Means kama, lobha, moha, madha, matsarya. Means lust, greed, anger, illusion, madness, and enviousness. So these are actually our main enemies, our obstacles, which we as devotees should be very careful of and trying to avoid. The existence in the material sphere is actually characterized by competition. If we look around in the world, there is always a strife to succeed, be it on a personal level. Even in the animal kingdom, there is always the strife for competition, who is the best, as well as naturally also in human society, on the individual level as well as also on the collective level, meaning that different nations are competing with each other. That we can experience very thoroughly nowadays. There are presently quite a lot of conflicts going on, be it in Ukrainian conflict or in the Middle East. And these are actually based on these shortcomings of material existence. So, for a devotee, it is very important to be aware that the enemies or the competitors are not that much to be found in the outside, rather in the inside. And that we also can experience with devotees, advanced devotees, that their concentration or their focus is actually turned inwardly. That is very important to be understood for a devotee who wants to progress in this devotional service, in his spiritual knowledge, that the real enemies are not outside, but actually inside. And in order to progress on the path of spiritual perfection, we should be very careful and try to check these qualities in ourselves. And in that way, we will guard ourselves from these poisons pots, as Narottam Das Thakur describes, because our strive for fruitive activities is mainly based in these unwanted qualities which we carry with ourselves. These also have been stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Sikshastakam verses where he states Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam. Nadanam, no wealth, Janam, no followers, and Sundarim, beautiful associates, and Kavitam, any fruitive activities. He states, he's not at all concerned about this. He is only concerned to Janmani Janmanishwari Bhavatat Bhakti Ahaitukitvayi, to be constantly engaged in the devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that life after life. Meaning is not limited to this specific living form he has now, because as we know, the spirit soul is eternal, and as Prabhupada states, this is actually the beginning of the spiritual awakening, when one realizes that one is not his body, but a spirit soul, and that this body is just like a piece of cloth. We wear it for some time, and then when it's old and torn, we get rid of it and get a new one. So even if we consider that, that is actually the understanding of not being interested even in liberation. Janmani Janmanishwari. A devotee is not bothered about liberation. He is only concerned about being engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because he understands that being engaged in the devotional service of the Lord is actually liberated. That means liberation. Our bondage to matter or material consciousness is based on forgetfulness of Krishna and our drive to enjoy, to be Ishvara, be it in a gross form, to enjoy material facilities, or be it in a subtle form as being liberated, which finally is actually same thing as the understanding to merge into the ultimate Supreme Brahman. Because what does it mean? To become one with Brahman means to become God. And in that way, it's the same trap that one wants to be Ishvara, one wants to be the enjoyer. So, these are the guidances which are given by the topmost scriptures of the Vedas. Vedanta, the end of the Vedic knowledge. Actually, the Srimad Bhagavatam is described as being the commentary on Vedanta, meaning the essence of Vedanta. And these guidances are given in these scriptures. Srimad Bhagavatam and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is actually understood to be the implication, the practical example how to deduct, how to implement the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam in our personal life. And this has been given by the perfect example of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared out of his causeless mercy in order to show to conditioned souls how to perform properly devotional service, how to implement the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam in one's all-day life. Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Any comments or questions?
I have a question, Prabhu, because yesterday one lady asked me about overcoming anger, krodha. So what would you say? She was saying that, she really doesn't want to be angry, but it just comes up sometimes and erupts. So how to deal with that?
It says that anger is the product of unsatisfied lust. So we have to turn our lust into love by being engaged in devotional service. In that way, because lust is the perverted reflection of our love. We all carry love in our hearts, or our essence of being is actually love. Akandadi Prabhu very nicely brought that. Last week he gave a class in a university, and then very scientifically he explained the different levels of existence, levels of consciousness, meaning physical, intellectual, and finally the transcendental platform. And then in that way he also described what is actually the real quality or identity of the I on the Atma, the transcendental platform. And he explained it in the Sanskrit terms as Sat, Chit and Ananda. And Sat means existing, Chit means knowing, and Ananda, loving. So I found it very beautiful. And finally, like if we understand these simple qualities and adopt it in our life, then we get rid of this other thing. If we understand that our real identity is actually loving, but unfortunately being exposed to this material realm, it gets perverted into lust. That will be the key for success. I don't know whether that lady will grasp it just like that. Okay, then she... Yeah. Yes.
One of these verses, Mahaprabhu explains that Krishna will cover the undesirable ambitions of the devotees. How will he do this actually? How will he cover the undesirable desires and ambitions one might still have?
Krishna sits in the heart of everyone as the super soul, and according to our intensity, he will guide us. Krishna is all merciful, so according to whatever we desire, he will guide us accordingly. So depending on our sincerity, he will arrange, so to say, things that it will be easy for us to get purified, or meaning to understand our shortcomings and to rectify them. But he never will force us. So that's why it is always has been, the point has been stressed that we should perform devotional service without duplicity. What does it mean? It means that we should be frank and open to ourselves and always checking whether our intention and our desires are really to achieve pure devotional service. Anya vilasita sanyam, whether it's really pure or there is some anarthas. And it also has been, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been compared to the perfect gardener. So what is the duty of a gardener? He will foster the plants, the flowers, the fruit plants, and he will take out the weeds so that the fruit plants and the flowers can grow unhindered. So that means we should have full faith that if we engage in devotional service, we pray for our purity, and then we'll have full faith that Krishna will arrange. Hare Krishna. Is that okay? Yes.
Just one point came to my mind from this question. If you allow, I can share. I was thinking about this area in the Bhakti retreat of Keshamaraj, where he was telling about triggers of transformation, and someone was telling that, yeah, or he put a letter that this one person told, yeah, we don't see transformation so much in the heart actually. And then he was explaining like how we really see transformations, and I thought like if we really introspect, we can also see that sometimes we had desires before, but they were transformed into spiritual desires now, and that's probably also like a covering of Krishna, that it's not a material desire anymore, but a spiritual one, not just to really take them out fully. So that's one.
Very nice, thank you.
And I had two questions actually, but we had all time, so
Yeah, if you.
I would say you mentioned only one.
so when you were speaking about the real enemies, I was thinking about the meditation I once had, that actually as devotees we should be an army fighting against the army of these enemies, like these bad qualities and false egos actually. And often we identify ourselves, of course, with the false ego, and then we have like difficulties with each other. But we have to try to be like us as devotees against these bad qualities that we have. And sometimes it's very difficult to really separate these two identities. And for example, if someone is proud and you think like, oh my god, this person does this and that, and then to really come together with this person and say, yeah, let's fight against this pride. How would you do that? Or do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, actually. It is to be expected, because we're conditioned since so long, and actually we have the tendency to always look outside faults in others. So that has to be understood, but a devotee should try to focus inwardly. And maybe one thing is, especially you said that we're fighting against Maya, against an army. Yes, that's correct. But maybe we shouldn't fight against devotees. So that's why it's always said that Prabhupada used the term, like devotees when they go out, they are like lions. They preach, they fight against Maya. But when they come to the temple, they're like lambs. So, naturally this is all theoretical. So maybe practical, one help is that, especially with devotees, we should be very careful. One thing we understand at most, if at all, our state of consciousness, but we are not really able to see the state of consciousness in others. So that's why it is also advised by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that always offer respect to others, don't expect any respect from others, and try to be more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree. Then you never can go wrong. And I can guarantee you, if we do that, Krishna will be very happy. We always tend to see that, oh, he makes this wrong, that wrong. That may be, but it won't help the situation. And most importantly, it won't help us. Whereas the danger is there that we commit aparadh, and on top of that it won't help us just to blame others for our own shortcomings. And if you see a devotee, he is always very jolly and very happy. He is not actually, Prabhupada also used to compare, we are not flies. We are not going to look for the bad things, So these are some things which I always tell me when I get in a situation like that. So always take a step back and appreciate. Finally, they're all Krishna's men. So and who are we? So, yeah. That may be a little different if you go and preach. So maybe use your distinction when you go and preach, and when you come to the temple, or when you're together with devotees. We just try to be humble, follow Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And if we do that, he will be very happy, and we will actually feel that he's happy. And when Krishna is happy, we will make advancement. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
some people be like, Mom, how am I